Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, and welcome to episode 4 of I Am Practically Spiritual podcast. We are happy to have you here, either as a returning listener or as a brand new one. And if you're brand new, please go back and listen to the first 3. You'll think you'll enjoy them. So, what we do on this podcast each week is we review the previous 7 lessons of the workbook in A Course in Miracles. So, this week we will be reviewing lessons 22 through 28. So here we go. And I'm Janet Weissman, and I am here with
Carlos Felipe.
Right, and we are your hosts for this afternoon, or this evening, or this morning. So, all right. So it might be difficult to comprehend at the early stages of learning a new thought system, and that's exactly what A Course in Miracles is about. It is a new thought system, but it's like, why? Why do we need a new thought system? Well, the current one really has been quite faulty, wouldn't you say, Carlos?
Absolutely. We can see it up and close.
Right. So, has it really been working for us? So everything that I think I see with this new thoughts, with the old thought system that I've been using, realizing that I need a new one, all these thoughts that I have made up along the way are based on what I believe is real. And all of this comes from my untrained mind, which holds my made up beliefs. And can you see the problem we're having here? It's all been made up. I think I mentioned in one of our earlier episodes about the old phrase that computer science used to use in the beginning: garbage in, garbage out. Well, that's exactly what's happening with our mind. Our old thought system, the one that we are wanting to change now, has been garbage in. And so if I've got garbage in, the only experience I can have is like projecting that garbage out, putting the garbage out. Unfortunately, I need to get rid of the garbage, not just put it out there for me to continue to experience it. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I also would like to touch back into the last episode that we were talking about. There's no neutral thoughts, and I think that relates to what we were just saying.
Yeah. So we've made up a meaning and a purpose and a judgment around everything. So the first lesson that we're reviewing today is 22, and what I see is a form of vengeance. Now, what I like to do with this lesson is to add the word now. What I see now is a form of vengeance, because I want to give us all some hope that the day will happen when my mind is not filled with attack. Vengeance is attack, and in the current condition of my mind, I'm preoccupied with attack and counterattack, wash, rinse, repeat. That's what is happening now when everything I look out upon, and there's vengeance, there's attack thinking around all that I am experiencing. The next lesson is 23. I can escape. So here we have some hope also. I can escape from the world I see by giving up attack thoughts. Remember, this is a practical course. That's a very practical phrase. You want to have a different world? Give up the attack thoughts. Very simply, what I'm projecting outward is coming back to me in the same way that I have thrown it upon the world. It's very much what I call the boomerang effect. I can try to relieve myself from the horrible world I see, but until I realize I'm the one who made it, nothing can change. That realization must come first. Awareness always comes first. But when I realize this boomerang effect, that I'm throwing it out to you and all of a sudden it's right back to me, won't that give me some inkling that, something needs to change here?
Yeah. We were saying before about neutral thoughts. There's no neutral thoughts. So if we have an attack thought, what do you think is going to come back? Like Janet says perfectly, I think a boomerang is perfectly, to hold that image in mind is perfect, because whatever you do, whatever thoughts you have, they will bounce back to you. So if you have an attack thought, what do you think it will come back to you?
Right. Right. And I didn't want it to begin with, so I certainly don't want it when it came back to me. So I'm kind of stuck in a almost like a Groundhog Day thing. I'm going to keep reliving the same experience over and over again until I change my mind, I change my thoughts. Our next lesson is number 24. I do not perceive my own best interests. Now, this is somewhat reminiscent of lesson 5 that we had in our first week, that I'm never upset for the reason I think. And in both cases, I don't know why I'm really upset. And now I don't really know what I want or why I want it. I don't understand. Now, this is all coming because my mind is untrained and it doesn't have a unified thought system. So, in any situation, I have multiple desires and goals, and I'm not really sure what I truly want or why I want it. So, again, we're seeing this idea of we have an untrained mind and a thought system that isn't unified. And so here is the reason we need a new thought system. I do not know what anything is for is lesson 25. Well, ultimately, everything, as the Course teaches us, is for my best interest and my highest good. But if I don't know what that is, then there's no meaning to anything, and without a meaning, there's no purpose. So my viewpoint is tainted by the ego, and what the ego wants is never in my best interest. I'm being guided to the realization that what is beneficial for me will also be beneficial for all of my brothers, or as the Course calls it, the sonship. And everything, ultimately, what we learn through the Course, is for the healing of the world and all who inhabit it. So that is sort of a hopeful thing for us to look forward to, that everything is for healing. The next lesson, 26, is my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. Well, being invulnerable is not a concept that I ever likened to who I think I am. And notice the who I think I am. Okay, in this world of the ego, or ego land as I call it, I'm very vulnerable to attack, and especially from myself. Each attack weakens my thoughts about me and makes me believe I'm a victim. But don't worry about this. Help is on the way. That's a spoiler alert. My self-attacks can appear in many forms. It can be fear, anxiety, worry, anger, depression. And when this occurs, it's important to realize it's an attack that I'm making on myself. The Course tells us it's always ourself that we attack. And then the opposite side of that is it's always ourself that we end up forgiving first and foremost. Anything you want to jump in here with, Felipe?
Again, going back to if we are attacking ourselves, that also begins with sometimes with our thoughts. So hence, guys, always let's be aware of those thoughts and what they come with. What is the surprise that they have, right?
Right.
Maybe an image is like, all right, a little surprise, open it up and see what it has. Begin to look at that, because there's no neutral thoughts. So
Right, definitely. So lesson 27 and 28, we want to sort of do them a little bit together. And those two lessons are very much restatements of last week's lessons 20 and 21. 20 was I am determined to see, and then 21, I'm determined to see differently. So now we have above all else, I want to see, and above all else, I want to see things differently. So we can see how they blend together so beautifully. So lesson 27 is giving the idea of having vision, different from body eyes seeing, but having vision is prominent in my thoughts and my desires. And even though I don't as yet believe it, I'm making a space for this to become true. I want this to be true for me. Above all else, I want to see. I want to now see things differently. And what we're really trying to do with lesson 28 is to make a commitment to this idea. And even if it's temporary, and it very likely will be, but to just for that temporary few moments of the day, we have those practice periods, to begin to see and experience that there's oneness, there's light in everything around us, and to let go of all the preconceived ideas about common objects. In the lesson itself, it talks about a table. You've all hopefully have read it, and you're, oh yeah, the table thing. Or also to the people that we see, to let go of those non-neutral thoughts that we're having about everyone and everything that is around and what we look upon. And, going through our day, driving in traffic, that car, that truck, whatever it happens to be, that person along the street, try to see all of that differently. Try to see that even though it might not seem normal or possible, that there's a light in all of them, every object and every being. There is a light. There is a purpose in everything. And that one purpose is actually a shared one. And it's all again going back to for the healing of this world. That's what the purpose is for everything. And remember, this is a practical path. The Course tells us it's practical. And the practical part of this Course is indeed those repetitions of those daily lessons. Because every time we continue to do those 5 practice sessions, or the 6 ones every 15 minutes, and of course it changes with the different lessons. But what we're doing is we're forming new pathways for this new thought system. And that's what we want to do. We need to shift and change. Because again, the thought system that we have been using up until this point is quite faulty. It really has not been serving us well.
I think that's very important to highlight that this is the course is a mind training program for changing our thought system. And what Janet said, we here are doing a review to accompany you with the lessons and kind of general ideas, and to help you and to get a whole understanding of where we're going with these lessons. But that in no way is a replacement for doing each lessons. Like she said, this is a practice, and each lesson has to be done and practice at your own level, and to understanding that is very important, and there's no replacement for that. In order for this course to work, that work has to be done.
Yes, absolutely. What do they say? To work, you have to work it. For it to work, you have to work it.
And that applies to this course 100%.
Right. And in truth, it's to anything that we want to do and get better at doing. We have to practice. You don't come out and you're a Michelin star chef when you scramble your first egg.
Absolutely.
There's practice that has to happen.
You see, that's very important, because that's real. Even if this is a world of illusion, but that is something real that applies everywhere, here or anywhere that is real, that practice,
right.
We need to do it.
And that is one of the beauties of this course, that it can be applied in our life as it is. And the outcome is that the life that we're experiencing will be so much better and so much expanded from our current experience to what it can be. We're meant to be happy. We're meant to be joyful. We're meant to be peaceful. And our current thought system that is, compliments, that's tongue in cheek there, of the ego, is not providing any of that for us. That's why it talks about, the different forms of self-attack is fear, anxiety, worry, anger, depression. all of that is coming from the ego mind. The A Course in Miracles offers us another way, and it is certainly a much better way in order to be in this world and not be bound by it or to feel a victim of it. Again, that's a bit of a spoiler alert. There's a lesson coming up momentarily about that.
I think if I can add, I think how beautifully this wraps up in lesson 28, that above all, I want to see things differently. Janet had mentioned in one of the last episodes that thinking and seeing are related, right? So going back, and that's so important, and that's foundational, how we think. Remember, guys, we've been talking about always the thought, the power of thoughts. There's no neutral thoughts, and how we think is fundamental, because how we think, we can see, right? Through this mind training, we are trying to see differently, and that is key. That's fundamental, and that's the build-up that we're working on, guys. And again, let's go back to each of the lessons and do the practice, and it will help you, will open your mind little by little to be aware, be responsible where we're thinking. There's no natural thoughts. If we are attacking, if we are, the Course will say now and throughout the Course that whatever we give, we receive. If you don't like what you're receiving, guys, spoiler alert, look at where you're giving.
Right.
Believe me, that for me was very painful to truly digest fully, but it's so true.
Right. All right. So now let's talk about homework assignments. All right. So our first one, the first homework assignment. And remember, this is a practical course. It is a course. So there are usually homework assignments when you're taking any course. So the first homework assignment we spoke about was noticing how our judgments are. How many times, wherever you are, and what judgments are you making? And then the second one was to realize how much of the past we're pulling into our present moment. And then last week was about the non-neutrality, which is really, in a way, another way of saying the judgments that I'm making in every thought. And I have no neutral thoughts because I'm constantly making judgments. So this week, we want to try to reverse some of that with, actually probably all of it, with gratitude and saying thank you. How often through the course of your day, when things are happening, do you say thank you? And you say, well, there's no one else around. Well, God is always with us. Holy Spirit is always with us. Perhaps when I'm able to make that 3-point turn very easily in the middle of the parking lot, I should say, thank you for the help, okay? That it happened successfully and I didn't bang into anything. We can find so many ways and so many instances where gratitude certainly fits into our day. So this week, sort of count up how many times during the course of your day do you say thank you? And who are you saying thank you to? Obviously, it can be to a person who's in front of you, but it can also be to our guide, the one who is always with us. And
yeah, I think that's great, because gratitude is truly, when you discover it and you incorporate it and integrate it, is truly a superpower.
I like that.
It is one thing that is very helpful, and we learn to do it. Sometimes it's easier when we're having things are going kind of our way, and the ego is a little happier. But guys, I think to get us of all those times that we are not feeling that well, that's when if you can, I invite you to use it then and truly see how that gratitude is a superpower, because it will help you.
Right. And remember, as we sign off, to breathe, deep breaths, and to smile. These are two things that change our physicality and our mental state. Okay? Breathing and smiling.
So thank you for being here, and we see you next time.
Right. Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste.